What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more acid-trance, and we're returning to voltage-controlled frequencies once again. We're going to listen to another tune from 1998. As you can see, this is yet another record I have 2 copies of. And yes, we're going to listen to a tune by DJ Mishka, who, I think his real name was Andreas. He was one of the people who worked at Chalky's Tunes, an acid-trance shop / studio in London, and I believe, I'm not sure, I think the studio may have been referred to as the Chocolate Factory, but I don't know if that was actually a studio that Chalky used at a different location. Nevertheless, he was one of the employees, was Mishka / Andreas, along with Peter Ward and I think maybe even 1 or 2 other people who show up on some various VCF / Chalky's Tunes releases. But yeah, he made a number of records that I have in my collection. I do think this one, Fifth Element, is the absolute best, and I don't know the degree to which Chalky or others involved, maybe Geezer and so on, might have been involved in engineering any of his tunes, but I think this is a fantastic track. There's 2 versions. We're going to listen to the original or regular version of the tune. There's also the Skyscraper mix, which is excellent as well, and which is a bit harder edged or a bit more spiky. But yes, this is another acid-trance tune which has a lot of wicked acid, but also a melodic drive and atmosphere that, again, I think speaks to the way 90s acid-trance, even if it shared some elements in common with some of the acid techno coming out at the same time, it was its own separate entity. And this is a great example, and one of the reasons I was very into acid trance as a teen in the late 90s. So let's give it a listen. This is DJ Mishka. The tune is Fifth Element, and we're going to listen to the original version. I don't know if either of my copies is particularly better in terms of the quality. I think they're roughly analogous. Again, as I said, when I really, really liked a record, once I started using Discogs, I tried to get double copies of some of the records just in case anything happened to one of the copies, and in some cases also just because, I like the idea of being able to mix from one track on the record into another track on the same record, which when you're mixing vinyl you can only do by getting 2 copies of the record. In any case, here we go. This is from 1998, DJ Mishka. The tune is Fifth Element. We're hearing the original mix, and it's on voltage-controlled frequencies. I've used this track in some good mixes. I'll try to remember the names, and if I can recall, I'll put it in the video description or a comment. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. It really is a favorite of mine. It just has this epic and uplifting emotional quality. I especially love that main breakdown where it's doing that soft background, which again is a bit reflective and emotional, and then it comes back in with much more energy and force as it begins the really big build up to the drop. And I do enjoy the acid layers. There's the constant like cycling, fluctuating one, and then there's that more like choppy, sharper riff, which is less continuous, but layers on top of the continuous one quite well. I do enjoy that wavy, a bit electric slash metallic drone kind of synth that comes in the, let's say, final third of the tune while the main part of the track is still going off. And yeah, the sequencing, I think, is fantastic. It's not just the individual configurations of the various parts, but the way the track unfolds, I think, is really, really good. The acid work is great. As I will say, to the end of my days, acid trance forever. And for those who were lucky enough to be going to parties in the late 90s, mid-90s, late 90s, when acid trance of this style was being played, it was a very special time and place, and I'm fortunate enough to have been a part of it. Again, that was in Southern California, different than the London scene of the second half of the 90s, but we definitely were hearing tunes that were being made there, and tunes from Germany and so on. Like acid trance was a ubiquitous phenomenon in certain underground rave party circles, and very much the ones that I was part of and interested in. So shout out to Mishka. I think like way back in the day I said it Mishka, but I think it's probably Mishka, right? Like I'm pretty sure about that. In any case, real name Andreas, so shout out to him, shout out to Chalky once again, shout out to any and all folks involved in the VCF label and the acid trance scene then and right up into the present. Again, I will continue doing acid trance mixes. If you're curious, not only do I have dozens, scores of acid trance mixes with samples under various names, more on that in a moment. I'm going to look up, before I finish this video, what mixes I may have used Fifth Element in, because I imagine many of them are already here on YouTube, if not all of them. But I also have like a video mix series of acid trance called Acid Trance Sessions. I think I'm up to like volume 17 or 18, something like that. So lots of acid trance on the channel. Let me now look up where or what mixes specifically I've used this tune in. I have a memory of one of them definitely having Carl Sagan's vocals. Okay, The Sojourn, which is a mix I'm really fond of. It was one of my early ones where I did use samples. I used samples from a Kevin Bacon movie called The Air Up There, but it's not just vocals that I sampled. In any case, In the Shadows, Deeper Mysteries, Cuffs or Coffins. Maybe in Cuffs or Coffins I used the Skyscraper mix, because I remember Cuffs or Coffins is a sort of wicked acid trance mix. Oh, The Speed of Light. What else? Positive Passion, that's definitely here on YouTube. In the Shadows, oh, I already mentioned that. What else? Yeah, I guess that's it for... So The Speed of Light is probably what I'm thinking of with the Sagan samples. Positive Passion too. In fact, I think the one that I'm really recalling is the usage in Positive Passion. Oh, and I also used it in my Boxing Day Banger 2024 Acid Dreamin' video mix, which is not part of the Acid Trance Sessions. It's part of a like holiday mix series. The last couple years I've done mixes on Boxing Day, and the one that I did last year was called Acid Dreamin' and was all acid trance, including Fifth Element. And there will be a Boxing Day Banger mix this year, probably a different style. I haven't decided on it yet, but once again, shout out to those who've checked out my DJ mixes and these trance, techno, and other like rave music reactions. I do appreciate it. Let me know what you think. I'll see you for the next one. Peace.